Welcome to Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I'll be covering every studio song the band has recorded and every bonus track that I can find. Each week we'll go over a new song from the beginning to where they are currently, and as they keep adding albums, I'll keep adding shows. Let the deep dive party begin.
In the magic garden, some were singing, some were dancing.
Welcome to Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. We are continuing our journey through the songs Paradise / The Spell. And, I was thinking maybe on your morning commute, you listen to Paradise, and now you're on your way home and you're listening to The Spell. So I'm going to dial back a little bit to before the transition. And then I'm going to experiment with a little audio wizardry and see if I can make this seamless. I don't know yet because I haven't tried, but you'll know in a second. But let's go back and hear the end of how Paradise ended and transitioned into The Spell, and then we'll just see if I pulled it off or not. Here we go. So that's the transition that you would have heard had you been listening to the album, cassette, 8-track, reel-to-reel, or any outlet other than the broken up MP3 versions or WAV files. But yeah, it's a really nice, smooth transition. Lots of flange in there, and it's really nice the way that the two tempos are overlaid, and it just blends in then into The Spell. Very powerful start. We're back to rock and roll. As far as proper album tracks, this is the last one. So it's great to end this with a bang, as we're going to do. And you jump in from that gentleness of Paradise, just bam, we're into The Spell, and we're on the road again.
What you think I am? Do you think I'm dreaming? Don't you know I know what it is you're scheming? Who'd you think gave you the right, hidden by the dead of night, to take the world and turn it upside down when it should be round?
It's almost out of place to hear Gary Thain going so long, just playing one note and just playing it, right on the beat, without being all up and down. But really sounds good there. Really interesting combination of organ and piano going on. You can kind of hear bits of the piano in your right ear. You can hear a little more of the organ in your left ear. And, just a good, powerful beat going on here. And really like it. Really like what they did with the vocals here, too. It's still got a little bit of that flange feel without being over flangey, just like something to maybe thicken it up just a little bit, or maybe it was double tracked. But voice sounds really good. I really like him in this register, too. Amazing, powerful, nice high vocal there over the top of all of that. And then there's like another mid-high in there. Really nice. I've always thought that section was kind of a response to the storyteller, like the storyteller saying, hey, I'm coming here, I'm doing this stuff. And this is the opposing person saying, looks like I got here in time. But I could be wrong, just my interpretation. Take that for what you will. But great part.
Spell, be sure I cast it well. I will light a fire, kindled with desire. I'll fill you with fear, so you know I'm here, and I won't be treated like a fool. It's no good you pretending, there'll be no happy ending. I'm alive and darkness is my tool.
Okay, I'm calling that first half David Byron and that second half Ken Hensley. I'm almost positive that's what just happened. But I love the piano during this section. I love that that little jam there is keeping things moving. Really powerful sound here. Good solid drumming. Just everything you could want to move this into the next section. I can only describe that guitar solo with two words: audio ecstasy. It's as many times as I've heard it, I'm still just blown away by how well emotionally crafted that solo really is. It just takes you on a ride, and it does not let you go until it's over. And it's just so tastefully and beautifully done. Wow, it's still blown away by how great that is. One thing going into that part, though, that kind of bothers me is I really hate when there's only one instrument and it's hard panned to one ear. It really kind of makes me as a listener feel off balance. And maybe that's the audio engineer in me, but I mean, just put a little bit of it at least in the other ear. Don't make me feel so isolated. Now, you could even put it in the middle, and then when the guitars come in, you could pan it hard right. That'd be fine. But to just leave everything in one ear and nothing in the other for that long of a time is a little bit unsettling to me. But that's just me. I might be literally the only person in the entire world that feels that way. So take that for what you will. But that's how I feel about it. But it was just such a beautiful solo that 5 notes in, I stopped caring about the fact I was annoyed about the panning on the piano. But absolutely just brilliant, and really nice thickening up the sound with those ahs over the top. You could just imagine everybody standing there in the booth just doing their ah, waiting for the next one, doing their ah. Really nice though. Really it adds so much texture to that section. It would be so barren really without it. I mean, if it wasn't there, we wouldn't know, right? But having heard it and saying if it wasn't there, it would be very empty, that spot. So very beautifully done. Again, just another great Heep craft. Well, they did it again, but you know what, guys? It's such wonderful playing. How could I be upset? I mean, that's just such a beautiful passage right there. And it really leads nicely into the next part.
But when the night is over and daytime steals your cover, the goodness of the morning sun will roll away what you have done and leave you cold.
I love that the vibrato guitar has returned here. It just adds such an interesting dynamic to that whole part. A great vocal, great drums and bass and everything playing through that. But that, for me, just those simple chords that Mick is playing with that sound really makes that part for me. It adds so much more than we would have if that one decision wasn't made. And that just goes to show how important every decision actually is. Some fantastic piano playing, and it doesn't sound bad in the right ear only because you've got other instruments that are panned to kind of balance things out a little bit. Love what Gary Thain is playing on bass throughout this part. Really, really nice passage. You can really feel it building here. You can feel, more emotion coming from the beginning of it being the guitar solo, and it just having built a little bit each step from there. Really feeling just rich and full. And there's not room for much more.
I have no need for moonlight. You're wrong to trust in sunlight. For I exist not just in storms, but in life itself. In so many forms to leave you cold.
What a haunting vocal right there. That's just kind of creepy. Knock it off. Well, what I really like in this section too, obviously, the vocals are getting more passionate, but also the drums. There's some really cool snare accents that you wouldn't normally hear, along with some crashes again going under vocals, which is a little out of the norm, but sounds really good. And really like the style that Lee's playing on this. All right, so we got a little bit of that flange sound back here as we're heading towards the end of the song. Really love what Mick is playing through there. Obviously he's on the wah pedal, but he's just playing this simple little thing that, again, really makes a difference in what we're hearing here in the song. It fills that space up, but it's also interesting in and of itself. It's not like, he's just playing chords to fill the space. He's really doing something interesting here. Just love the way that sounds.
I will leave you now, but you won't defeat me. You had best beware when you come to meet me. Love and truth will follow me, an army of reality, brought from every corner of the world. You will never break the spell of some
So before we hit the end here, I just wanted to point out that it was really nice the way the pianos were following the vocals during that first half of that, where the verse was. It's nice to hear what the organ's doing. It cuts through a little bit so you can get an idea, but for the most part, it's just thickening the sound because you can't really hear what it's doing. But it's just playing along nicely, and great vocal. Another, got to have another harmony before it's over, and they hit that really well. And now we're going to head towards the end of the song already.
Let us not begin this fight we cannot win. Be sure you're watching me, 'cause all through your life, every day and every night, you should know that I'll be watching you.
What an ending with that, beautiful vocal of both David and Ken singing together. They sound fantastic. You can hear why it's so easy to confuse the two of them. But, the fade, the decrescendo of the whole thing was a little quick for me. I could have used a few seconds more to just kind of decompress from the song. But I will say, in terms of song placement, now this being the final track on the proper album, without any of the bonus tracks, but with this being the last track, I think it ended very well. I think this was a great ending to the album. And one thing that's really important when you're deciding what track is going to go where, the ending of the last track should make you want to start it over again. So if you're listening on repeat on a CD, it's going to do that anyway. If you're listening to an album, you have to physically flip it over, right? So it should make you want to flip it over instead of putting that record back in the jacket and grabbing something different to put on the turntable. And for me, this hits that 100%. I just want to hear the album again, starting right now. And so very, very well placed. It ended just so powerful, and really, really love this song. I honestly, I think that this is a song, and when I say this song, I mean the combined Paradise and the Spell. I think that this is something that could very well be studied in music school for pacing, for tone, for richness, for vocals, for harmonies. I mean, this song really has everything. Great solos, wonderful rhythm and melodic rhythm on the piano and the organ. Great wah pedals work from Mick. Just everything is in this song. So honestly, if you were to look at a series of masterworks, I would say that this would have to be on there as far as rock and roll numbers go. Very well done. And I didn't even realize how much I liked this song. I knew I liked it. I've listened to it many times. I've always enjoyed it, but I never really realized the depth of my joy in this song until I just did these two shows. So thank you guys for listening to me babble on about my thoughts. Really cool stuff. Now, I will say that I'm very excited to get to the bonus tracks, because there's actually one of the bonus tracks is actually one of my favorite of all the bonus tracks I've ever heard from Heep. Wish it would have appeared somewhere before the bonus CDs came out. Don't think it would have fit this album, and we'll get into that when we get to that show next week. But what a great way to end the week, right? Fantastic double episode. Two great songs combined into one, just magic all the way around. And I'm going to pat myself on the back a little bit for pulling off that wizardry there at the beginning. I mean, how hard is it? You just take the two clips and you shove them together so that they're in time. It's not that tough. I did it all over the place on the introduction and the outro to the show. So it's really not that special. I'm just glad I made it work so that it sounded good for the show. But that's it, guys. I hope everyone has an absolutely fantastic weekend. Thank you for joining me on this double episode Friday, or if you're listening to it in the future, double episode whatever day it is, or single episode if that's all you listen to. But thank you guys for joining me. Have a wonderful weekend. Be safe. Do something fun. Do something nice for someone else. That always helps make the world be a better place. So thank you guys. We'll see you next week. Cheers. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. If you have enjoyed this show, please consider going over to Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast outlet, leaving a rating or a review. Be sure to subscribe to make sure that you are notified when new episodes are available. Please be sure to share this podcast with your fellow Uriah Heep enthusiasts and anyone who you think would like Uriah Heep, which should be everyone. And if you are so inclined, please feel free to contribute to the Patreon account. And if you are not a Patreon subscriber, you can also pay through the PayPal link on the website listed in the show links below. I would also like to thank Uriah Heep for their very generous support of the show, and thank you guys for listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Happy days!